Unbans, bracket system, game changers, all of this stuff happened this week. And we want to talk about it today. Welcome to MTG Thursdays Thoughts, where I give my thoughts about different things about Magic the Gathering. And today I want to kind of go back and I want to talk about what happened with the Unbans, what happened with the new game changers, and the bracket system as a whole. So let's sit back and enjoy this. We're going to talk a little bit about it. The Unbans, I believe we could have seen a few other cards unban. The Unbans in general were pretty safe Unbans. The only one that I was like, Gifts Ungiven is a little strong, and Braids can be a little bit gross if it comes out early and then it puts you up against a wall. Other than that, the other ones are pretty tame for the most part. They do their thing. They can be gross, but at the same time, they also cost a lot of mana, or, they're mechanically unique. So, that being said, Braids is probably the one that is going to be abused the most, because people are going to be like, let me get Braids out, turn 1, turn 2, and I'm just going to be gross and mean to you, everybody. And I must be like, please, no, please stop. We don't need that anymore. So, yeah, that's the way to get Braids out, get it out, make people start sacking, all that stuff, especially on turn 1. If you were player 1, turn 1, seat 1, you just basically put people under the gun the entire rest of the game as well. So now, granted, you do have down, so you have to sack stuff too, but at the same time, you get it there. You have stuff to sack, whatever. You put it there, you get something to create tokens, all that, get Braids out. Other than that, Gifts and Givers gives gross stuff, and you can kind of set your stuff up for your win, no matter what, because typically if you got, creatures, you have recursion, or you go get, counter spells or whatever to stop something, or removal if you need it, things like that. But other than that, I don't think the bans were that horrible. Unbans were that horrible. I believe we probably could have seen a few other cards unbanned, but I think they're trying to be safe, not do it too crazy. Again, it's curious to see if they will ever unban Jeweled Lotus. They did mention it. They said of the 3 cards that got banned last year in Commander, that Jeweled Lotus was probably the most likely to get unbanned. And I believe it is a good one, because it's harder to abuse that one, because it can only literally cast your Commander. Now, again, there are ways to abuse it, but at the same time, you work on it, you figure it out. But outside of that, the Unbans were pretty safe. Now, granted, I hate that there's nothing going to happen the rest of the year, but I also think that's nice, because then we know for the basically rest of the year, the only thing that could possibly get unbanned is something gets printed and it's just really, really broken, which hopefully that doesn't happen, but, that can happen. But outside of that, you have, we now kind of know, okay, we don't need to, the market on those cards aren't going to go up and down too much because the ban cards, because there's not an unban coming anytime sooner, when or where. So that is a good thing to know. Then we have the new game changers, and I think a lot of those cards on the game changers were game changers and are game changers and deserve on the list. Some people argue, why is crop rotation? Why is gamble? Well, I have a whole series going to go through all those cards, talking about them specifically, but crop rotation has reasons, because there's just some gross lands you can go get. Gamble basically is a way to go get something and either put it in your hand or it gets in your graveyard, and oh no, I can get it back. It's a win-win realistically a lot of times when you cast Gamble. A lot of people think Gamble is just there for a last minute ditch effort, and oh no, I got rid of it. A lot of times in the decks it's played in, you have ways to recur whatever you just accidentally had to throw back, or you wanted that to go in the graveyard anyways. So that is the thoughts on that one. The game changers are game changers. They are a little bit, they've added more, which this brings me into my next point. Kind of the main thing we'll talk about is I believe we need a slight update to the bracket system. Just a little bit, nothing too major, but I think we need to allow level 1, obviously no game changers, level 2, 1 game changer. One game changer, And again, people are like, well, then that leads into combos. Well, yes, it can lead to combos, but it's not, because you have no 2-card combos in a level 2 deck. But you could allow a level 2 a Teferi's Protection. It's I have a Netheroi deck that is basically pre-con level, but it has a Teferi's Protection in it. That is basically the only, it's no other game changers, nothing else. But to me, I don't believe it's a level 3. I believe it's more of a level 2. It can perform up to level 3 because of the removals and stuff I have in it, but it's not that good of a card or deck as far as that. It runs at the same level as Precon. It's been beat by Precons multiple times, because it's where it's at. I never super upgraded it. Now I could upgrade it and everything. That's why I think 1 game changer for level 2, and I believe for level 3 we can have up to 5 game changers. I think adding up to 5, because I have several decks now that have moved to what would be considered level 4, because we now have 4 game changers in them. Maybe because we have the Teferi's Protection, or we have a crop rotation, or we have a gamble or something like that on top of a couple of the other cards that are in there. Maybe a staple card from blue, you've got Mystic Remore maybe, and you've got Rhystic Study, and then now so like you push yourself over, which those two are good cards. Rhystic Study on its own, Mystic Remore on its own, but then maybe a couple of the other ones aren't as big of a deal to change the entire game. I think we need to move it up to bracket 3 is up to 5, and then 4 is unlimited, and then 5 is CDH is its own little thing. That's my thoughts on the system. I think overall the bracket system is good. I think it's more about intent, like the article said that came out. The level 2 is a pre-com. We're still playing very casual, very fun. Not a lot of combo-ish things like that. If there's combo-like thing that's going to happen, because there are combos in decks in the pre-cons, but you've got to get like 7 pieces together to get it to work. I think level 3 moving up, how many game changers are allowed up to 4 or 5. I say 4 or 5 because there are several people that I knew that had level 3 decks, and now because they added some new game changers, their decks went from level 3s to level 4, but they're really not level 4s because there is a huge difference between a 3 and a 4. There is a huge difference. And it's not just about the game changers. It's about the intent of the deck and all the stuff you put in there. So like at level 4, you're going to see more counter spells, more interaction, more this and that. At level 3, you should have decent amount of interaction, but maybe not as much. It's a little more fun, a little more casual. You're going to have some board wipes, you're going to have some stuff like that, but it's not overly bearing. So that's why I believe if you allow 5 game changers up, it kind of fixes that system where like certain game changers that are kind of fringe game changers, that are not like the strongest of strong cards, but they still should be a game changer because they are strong and can change a game. You could still run those and do your thing. So that's my thoughts on it. Only include a little bit in the bracket system. Other than all the unbans are all right. I wish we had gotten Jewel Lotus back. That's just a selfish reason. I'm building Gary the Snail Talk Show, and I want to be able to play Gary really fast. So, but other than that, that's the only reason I wanted Jewel Lotus out. Dockside can stay banned. And then outside of that, Mana Crypt, give or take. But outside of it, I think maybe there's a few other cards. At some point, we'll see some unbans. This is the first testing of unbanning some cards. Who knows if Braves will end up back on the list? We'll see. I don't think any of the other ones will really get back on the list unless we get some new card that can break them. I don't know. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts on all of this, what you like, what you don't like about the bracket system, how you would change maybe the bracket system a little bit. Again, my thing is just very simple. What do you think about going up to 5 game changers on level 3? And then keeping everything else the same, pretty much, and allowing 1 in a level 2 as well. Again, I believe it comes down to sitting down, having that conversation when you sit at a table and letting people know. Because honestly, if someone sat down at a table and said, I have 4 game changers, I don't really have any major super fast infinite combos. I may have a late game combo that's like, I drop this and this and I win. But it's a late game, it has to be late game kind of stuff. Are we good? I would be like, yeah, that's level 3. That's fine. You're good. In my personal opinion. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts. And as always, we'll see you next time.